everyone, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me for a quick character analysis of the Real Housewives of Potomac cast. This analysis is based on me watching episodes 7 to 10, that's like 4 episodes, so I may get things wrong. I'm just, giving my opinion about the cast members based on what I've seen in these 4 episodes. Now, the reason why I did not watch the Real Housewives of Potomac before, or any of the Real Housewives shows in the franchise, is because I do not like the culture of celebrity worship. I don't like the culture of people becoming famous for no reason, okay? Most of the cast members of the Real Housewives franchise, they are famous or wealthy because of who they married. It's not all of them, because some of them have their own money. But what happens is when you give people who are not talented and not necessarily moral or integral, when you give them a huge platform, you can turn them into monsters, right? And this is what I believe happened with NeNe Leakes. NeNe Leakes got onto the show Real Housewives of Atlanta because of her husband's network, of his resources, and the opportunities that they gave her. I don't know what else she had to offer to the show besides her big mouth and her attitude. And I don't like seeing people like that celebrated or financially rewarded for their bad behavior, because then you end up having copycats, other people who want to be just like them, individuals with no skills and no talent and no education per se, acting a fool for a check. And I didn't want to support that, which is why I did not want to watch the show. This is also one of the reasons why I did not want Ariane, who's Martell's mistress, to get on Love and Marriage Huntsville either, because she did nothing to be famous except sleep with a well-known man who was successful in his own right because of the work that Melody was putting into their relationship and their businesses, right? So yeah, I don't like rewarding laziness and stupidity. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that the cast members on the show are lazy and stupid, but the whole premise of the Real Housewives of this a bunch of women who have nothing better to do all day but spend their husband's money and gossip and fight, I don't want to see that shit. It's bullshit to me. But anyway, as far as the optics, I'm familiar with the culture of the DMV and how colorism has been practiced in this particular region for a long time, okay? I have family from the area on my father's side, so I'm aware of how, these people view color. So here's the deal. I don't know if any of these women on the show are colorist, meaning that I don't know if these women feel superior to other women because of their complexion. I don't know enough about them to make that determination, but I will say this. If you are in a community with low social power, I talked about this a few weeks ago. If you're in a community with low social power and you have no resources, you have no social status, you don't have any other opportunities for advancement besides either going to school or using your looks to get ahead, okay? As a woman, you have to assess or evaluate your desirability according to the standards or the criteria of the men you're trying to attract. So if you're trying to attract high value men from the Black community, right? Dark-skinned men who put certain phenotypes on a pedestal, then you have to do a personal assessment to evaluate how well you match the criteria that these men are looking for. High value men, right? Men with lots and lots of money, men with lots of resources, men who are desirable to many women because of their resources. You have to conduct a comparative analysis of yourself and the women that you will be competing against for the attention of these men, okay? So in the Black community, by and large, desirability is determined by 4 factors, okay? The first is complexion. How light are you or how dark are you? The second is phenotype, your physical features, right? Do you have a balanced face? Do you have African features? Do you have finer or aquiline features, a thinner nose, thinner lips, right? That's number 2. Number 3 is the body type. How shapely are you? Are you curvaceous? Are you voluptuous? Are you a model thin? How does your body look? And number 4 is your hair texture, okay? So we have the skin complexion, we have the face, we have the body, we have the hair. If you meet all 4 criteria for these men who have lots of resources, right? Who have lots of opportunities to meet new women, there's lots of competition for their attention and their affections. If you meet these 4 criteria, you'd be considered a dime, okay? A 9 out of 10, okay? If you meet 3 out of 4 of the criteria, you'd be like a 7 out of 8, depending on, again, how well you meet each of those individual criteria. For example, for a person who has a hair texture preference, right? They want a woman with looser hair texture. They may overlook that for women who may have kinkier hair, for example, but their face is like a 10, okay? Their face is flawless, right? They may overlook that. So because Black women and Black men represent the bottom caste in society, we have to use other resources that we have at our disposal to get a leg up, okay? And again, that could be either education or skill like singing or dancing, or athleticism, or our beauty, our looks, okay? So colorism is automatically baked into our society because colorism is one of the attributes that we can use to get elevated into certain positions of power or to get access to certain resources from men who would be considered high value. Conversely, in the white community, looks are not as important. They're important, but not as important. A few weeks ago on Lipstick Alley, there was a post about the CEO of FTX. His name is Sam Bankman. And of course, he was scamming, but that's not the point of the conversation. So the CEO of FTX, Sam Bankman, had a girlfriend, right? And his girlfriend would be considered 2 or 3 in the Black community, okay? Or in the white community even. She was not conventionally attractive, according to society standards, okay? This is universally accepted, right? And so there was an article on Lipstick Alley about this, and the women on Lipstick Alley were jealous. They were jealous because Sam Bankman-Fried had a girlfriend who was a 2, who was making millions of dollars a year, right? She wasn't married to the guy, didn't have kids with him. She was very young, very intelligent, very educated, but she was able to garner a lifestyle for herself without having to jump through the hoops of Blackness, okay? She didn't have to meet any criteria except being a woman who was raised in a prominent family. I think her parents are both Stanford graduates. They're highly educated, well-connected people. So no matter how their child looked, okay, no matter how Sam Bankman-Fried's girlfriend looked, I think his name is Carolyn Ellison, no matter how she looked, she was going to be taken care of regardless. She was going to make paper regardless. Meanwhile, Black women feel like, or they're told that, you know, you have to be a certain body type, you got to have the right hair texture, your booty got to be this big, your face got to look like that. You got to jump through all these hoops and hurdles just to get a man who's like middle class compared to this billionaire Sam Bankman. So they were going in on the poor girl because they were jealous of the fact that, and they said they weren't jealous, but I saw the jealousy in the comments. So they were jealous of the fact that this average or below average looking white girl had access to resources and money that they could never even dream of in a million years. This lady was making hundreds of millions of dollars. She had access to hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And she wasn't very experienced. She was very well educated, but she wasn't experienced. She was just cool with the right people. She was in the right social circle. So she didn't have to jump through the Negro hurdles to be seen as desirable. Her desirability came from her pedigree, not necessarily her appearance. So with all that said, if you know that you live in a society or in a community of people where your color is perceived as an asset or a deficit, you are going to use what you have to your advantage to get what you want. Women compete against each other all of the time. This is why thousands of women are willing to get their bodies mutilated to be more desirable to the opposite sex, okay? Because they want more options for the high value men. So if high value men want a big booty, I'm going to buy a big booty. If high value men want straight hair, I'm going to spend $5,000 on weave. If high value men want light skin, I'm going to put some, lightening cream on my skin. I forgot one more, I'm sorry. I mentioned 4 criteria. There are 5 criteria. The 5th criteria is money. But money is only important to low value men who overlooked certain women when they were younger, and then they need somebody to take care of them when they're older. So there are 5 criteria. Your phenotype, your body type, your complexion, your hair texture, and number 5 is your resources, how much money you have, okay? Which again, only becomes important if you're not a preference per se, right? If you don't meet much of the preference criteria and you have to work your way through life on your own, I wouldn't be surprised if the darker skinned women on the show were self-made. And I'm just making an assumption, I could be wrong. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I would not be surprised if the darker skinned or brown skinned women on the show were self-made, while the lighter skinned women could rest on their pretty privilege, their light skin privilege to get a leg up in society. That's just the way it is. Now, I'm not saying that these light-skinned women are perpetuating colorism. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's baked into the culture. So they're aware of it. They're aware of it. all of them are aware of it, especially if you're in a DMV. There's a whole different color caste system in that region. In 1991, there was an article published titled Skin Tone and Stratification in the Black Community, okay? And it was written by Vera M. Keith and Cedric Herring. And the abstract from the article says the following. Data from the National Survey of Black Americans, NSBA 1979 to 1980, are used to examine the effects of skin tone variations of blacks on educational attainment, occupation, and income, net of such antecedent factors as parental socioeconomic status and such contemporaneous factors as sex, region of residence, urbanicity, age, and marital status. The findings are that not only does complexion have significant net effects on stratification outcomes, but it is also a more consequential predictor of occupation and income than such background characteristics as parents' socioeconomic status. Results are consistent with an interpretation that suggests that the continuing disadvantage that darker blacks experience is due to persisting discrimination against them in the contemporary United States. This is 1991. We've had articles talking about this before that and afterwards. And this discrimination isn't just interracial, it's also intraracial, which means that we practice it among each other. This is me talking, okay? This is what we practice among each other. So darker skinned men do not, by and large, want their children to look like them because darker skinned people, by and large, have less opportunities for advancement than lighter skinned people. That's just what it is, right? And the same thing with darker skinned women. Many darker skinned women, not all, right? Not all dark skinned men and not all dark skinned women believe this, but many darker skinned women prefer to breed with or have children with lighter skinned men because light skin is perceived as an inheritance in the community. You can't give your child money, you can't give your child social status, you can't give your child a good education, you can't give your child power, but you can give them a complexion that makes them desirable to dark-skinned men or the mainstream of society, okay? So that's what it is. Now that we got that out the way, let's talk about the cast. The first one I want to discuss is Giselle. I don't really know too much about her. I know she was married to that pastor who was messy and stuff, so I don't really have much to say about her. She seems okay, I guess. Her daughters are beautiful. I love the Sweet 16 that she threw for them. I wonder if boys have something similar. I think that the Black community needs to have an adjacent or similar ceremony for 16-year-old boys coming of age. You know, the Jewish community has the bar mitzvahs. And I think that the Black community needs to have something else in kind to just let Black men know that the time for games is over. As I said before, Black men need a rites of passage that has nothing to do with how many women they can have sex with, okay? Or how many men they can kill, or how much violence they can inflict on somebody else. They need something similar. But anyway, Giselle was whatever. Now, Candiace. Candiace is so corny to me. I don't know much about her. But now I can see why Monique snatched her wig to the white meat a few seasons ago. I saw that clip of Monique grabbing up Candiace when I was looking at the Love and Marriage DC show, is trying to find out why people were so anti or so pro Monique. And I saw that clip and I'm like, what would cause that to happen? Now I understand. I'm not condoning violence. I don't think violence is the way to handle your problems. But Candiace is like a messy, immature person. So the first episode I watched was episode 7 when Wendy and Mia, the woman with the prolapsed lips, they had this argument at the table, and at some point the group began to ostracize Wendy, and Candiace was trying to stick up for her. I was like, okay, I'll give you some props. But the way she was acting was a bit performative for me. All the crying and tears, it's not right that she's not here, it's not right. I'm like, okay, I get it, but is it that bad? Right? And so I was like, okay, she's a little bit histrionic. She has, her moons are a little bit weird here. So then in the subsequent episode, she's trying to defend Wendy, which I think was commendable for her to do because I would have done the same thing. I don't like bullying, especially workplace bullying. And I don't like when people are made to feel uncomfortable in spaces where they have to be, especially work or school, etc. So the first recording I did for Real Housewives of Potomac, I never posted it because I felt like I was too incensed about it. But I talked about workplace bullying and its effects on people psychologically, emotionally, and socially. And I basically went down a list of tactics that women use or people use in general to bully each other in the workplace. It is not the same as school when you get in a fight. No. Workplace bullying is more psychological, social, and emotional. And I've been through it myself. So episodes 7 and 8 were triggering for me because it brought me back to jobs that I've had where I've had to bite my tongue and maintain the peace because I'm in a leadership position and the people who are working for me are conspiring against me to sabotage the work that I'm doing because they want to get in good with my boss, who also has an issue with me because I make them look incompetent. And I wasn't making them look incompetent on purpose. I was just doing my damn job, right? All right. So anyway, I got triggered by that scene, and I applauded Candiace for sticking up for Wendy, and Ashley was doing it also. I also like the fact that Karen was being the mature, older, wiser woman who was trying to, be fair to Wendy. Okay, I appreciated her for doing that because she didn't really have to. Hemorrhoid lips was supposed to do that, but she didn't. Okay, so anyway, so then Candiace goes on social media saying that, these women are fake, they're whatever, they're whack. She was insulting these women on social media. She said, all of them are fake. All these women are fake. I said, what? Where'd that come from? Because I don't know what happened before this. So I was a bit surprised because she seemed to be cool with Wendy. She seemed to be getting along with Ashley a little bit. She seemed to want to be friends with Robin. Like I don't know what happened. Why would you say that? So Robin speaks to Giselle about what happened, and she basically drops dime on Candiace at dinner. She has a speaker out, and at the dinner on the final day of vacation, she's replaying what Candiace said on Instagram for everybody to hear, okay? Which I do think was an ambush, and that is very triggering for me also because that's like a sneak attack. At the same time, if you didn't mean the shit, then why did you say it on social media? So Robin was kind of wrong for doing it that way, but at the same time, I understand why she did it that way because by putting her on blast in front of everybody, it forced Candiace to own up to her shit. And I get the feeling that if Robin had confronted her behind the scenes, Candiace would have played off like, no, I didn't mean you, I meant this person. No, she did it for attention, okay? Candiace is very messy and immature and very corny to me. So then when she's confronted, she's like, oh, I didn't mean you, I meant this person, I meant that person. Oh, especially you, Ashley, I don't like you. I'm like, what did Ashley do? They seem to be getting along on this vacation the whole time. Like, yeah, Candiace is very corny and whack. And then she said, Robin, I'm surprised at you. I wouldn't expect something like this from you. See, y'all are disloyal. I wonder if Candiace has some sort of personality disorder. I don't know what it is, but it's weird. The way she attacks people and then plays the victim. How are you going to call somebody fake? And this is something else too. A lot of people try to act like the moral authority on something to absolve themselves of the responsibility of being held to their own standards. So if I call you disloyal and I call you fake, that means I'm real by default, right? If I have the authority to call you fake, that means that I am real. And I suspect that is the reason why she was so supportive of Wendy, who she didn't even really like, according to her, because she wanted to be perceived as some moral authority. Like, I'm better than these girls. It is so not fair that they're doing this to her. It is so not fair. This is wrong. She was doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. Just like Martell was doing the right thing for the wrong reasons when he told Ariane Melody's business. And that's what I was saying about Martell yesterday, okay? Sometimes people can do the right thing for the wrong reason, and sometimes people do the wrong thing for the right reason. Candiace was doing the right thing for the wrong reason, meaning she was calling everybody else out and saying, oh no, you shouldn't treat Wendy like this, just to look like she was some sort of savior and she was some moral authority on how to treat people, while at the same time talking shit about Karen and everybody else and saying everybody else is fake and doing it for attention. Now I understand why Monique snatched her wig to the white meat. I do understand. I'm not condoning it, but I understand. The next person I'll talk about is Ashley. So from what I remember years ago, I remember seeing some clips of Ashley being married to this older white guy, and people were asking about their relationship because the guy was kind of weird. I don't know how weird he was, but there was something wrong with the relationship. Now they're separated after 2 kids. At the time that I first saw her, she didn't have any children by him. So after she found out he was weird, she had children with him. And I'm assuming that she got with him for the come up. Okay? And now she's crying about the fact that she's almost divorced or separated from him. And she doesn't want to raise the kids by herself, right? So I read the statement that Ashley and her husband put out about their separation. And it was something like, after 8 blissful years of marriage, something like that, after 8 wonderful years of marriage, they're separated. If it was so wonderful, why are you separating? and she's crying about being a single mother, she'll have the money. I'm sure this guy's going to give her alimony and child support. That's one of the reasons why she married him. I'm assuming, because I don't know what else she does. Okay. She used her youth, right? Youth is also an asset. I forgot. So youth is also an asset. Okay. So let me go back. There's youth, there's phenotype, there's complexion, hair texture, body type, resources, finances. Okay. And youth, right? Yeah, I said youth. So yeah, there's 5 or 6 criteria that men use to evaluate how attractive a woman is. Youth, body type, hair type, social status or money, phenotype, complexion. All right. So yeah. So she used her youth to attract a man who wanted a young woman for whatever reason. I'm going to say this. White men's standards for a partner are different than black men's standards. High value white men are the status makers. White women are the status makers too. Nick Cannon said that black men choose white women because they're a status symbol. If you see who he's been having babies with, you know that this is what he believes personally, right? White men, because they are the status symbol, because they're white and they have access to resources and social capital due to their complexion and their social caste, their criteria for choosing a partner is not the same as the black man's criteria. For a lot of black men, complexion is not as important as other things. Okay, white men place a high premium on youth, right? And they also place a high premium on beauty, but their beauty standards are different than black men's beauty standards. For many black men, not all, but many black men, complexion and beauty are synonymous. If you're the wrong complexion, and this is not just black men, this is men in India, this is men in China, this is men in Latin America, it's global, okay? Complexion, right? How dark or how light your skin tone is associated with your level of beauty, period. White men don't have that same complex because they can make anybody, dark skin, light skin, Indian, Filipino, Chinese, they can pretty much make any woman they choose into a status symbol. Just because they are the kingmakers in society. That's just what it is, right? Am I saying it's right or wrong? I'm saying that's what it is. So you would see a man like, for example, Mark Zuckerberg or Phil Collins or Bill Gates marrying women who was like, you're like, why would you marry that person? Because their status is not going to be changed regardless. They're still going to be the man. They're still going to be white men in society. So yeah, anyway, I really appreciated the fact that Ashley stood up for Wendy, and she didn't have to, but Ashley showed her character. From what I saw, even though I don't really, agree with her decision to get married to an older, weird white man for money and then be complaining about it years later after you've had children, you knew this already. You knew what it was before you had the kids with him. So why are you complaining about it now? Anyway, I do commend her for standing up for Wendy, and that showed her character. So nobody's perfect. There's things about people that you like and things about people you don't like, okay? There are things that she does that I agree with and things that she does that I don't agree with. But I do like her on the show. Now, again, my assessment is only based on 4 episodes, so I may be wrong. There may be things that was done in the past that I don't know about. But from what I saw in the 4 episodes, I do like her more than Giselle and Candiace so far. Robin seems like, I don't know what she's there for. I don't know what's going on with her. I like the fact that she was some sort of a mentor to Candiace, and Candiace and her have some weird relationship, but I would not be friends with Candiace if I was Robin. I just would not do it. Like, why is Robin on the show? I don't know what's happening. She seems to be despondent or sad or lost or just out of it or I don't know what's going on. Wendy is a professor, right? And she has a PhD, which I really respect. I felt bad for her for being ostracized from the group. But there was something brewing among the cast members before episode 7 that I wasn't aware of. She seems to have a mouth on her, and it is what it is, right? But I did not agree with how the group treated her. And, then she felt ostracized and she felt bullied and she was crying, I'm sure, by herself. Like, I get it. But I'm too grown for that shit. Like, it is very uncomfortable to be in a professional setting where you're bullied. And she was being bullied. Wendy was being bullied by Mia. And, I think it was just Mia. Robin was kind of on it too, and so was Giselle. They didn't really give a damn, I guess. Giselle's too pretty to care. That's the kind of attitude she was given. Like, it's not important to me for whatever reason. Yeah, it was weird to me that they were all hugging it up and chumming it up at the club together, hugging and dancing together. Were they on drugs or something? They could have been on drugs or drunk or something. Because you go from hating each other to like everybody's showing their boobs off and partying. That's just weird to me. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm corny. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm whack. But this is not something I would do around people who didn't like me, who I was just arguing with a few minutes earlier. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit stuck up and weird. Maybe it's me. So you guys let me know. Would you hang out with and party with women who you were just fighting with a few minutes earlier and you know they ain't your friend? Weird. Karen Huger. They said she was turning 59. 59? She's a very attractive woman for her age. But I don't think she's 59. I've always wondered, when people lie about their age, what are they going to put on their tombstone? Their fake age or their real age? That's just weird to me. Anyway, but I like the fact that I like Karen's energy. She seemed to be like the mother hen of the group. The woman who gets them all together. She's the veteran. She's the wise older woman that's, keeping the girls together, and, she's providing mentorship and support and love and things like that. Now, I will say this. When Ashley shared what Candiace said about Karen, as far as her dating other men, which I wouldn't be surprised about, because as I said a few days earlier, talking about TJ Holmes and Amy Warbach, I said that many people who are married for a long time, they get bored, especially when they get older. Doesn't mean that she doesn't love her husband. It just means that she may be bored. I'm not saying she's cheating or not cheating, but when someone asks you a simple question, they ask you a simple yes or no question, right? And your response is, how dare you? And you try to shame the person for asking the question and you use your anger to silence them so that you can avoid answering the question, more than likely, Candiace was not lying. But guess what? It's none of Candiace's business anyway. Mind your fucking business. Mind your business, okay? Why would you be gossiping about somebody else's business with somebody you said you don't like? I wouldn't be surprised if this is why the cast doesn't like Candiace, because she's very messy and just, for what? Mind your business. If you can't stand on it in front of everybody and you want to act like, I don't know what I said, I don't know what I meant, and you're forgetting how messy you are on camera, then that's how you get your ass beat. This is what happens, okay? I'm not condoning violence, but I understand why Monique snatched her wig. Now, Mia, prolapsed lips, hemorrhoid lips, Mia. So this is what happened, okay? Mia seemed to be enjoying how uncomfortable she made Wendy. Mia seems like a bully to me. She reminds me of women like Evelyn Lozada, who have come from humble beginnings and have had to scratch and scrape to survive, and they keep that same mentality and mindset with them no matter where they go. So as soon as they're confronted or they're in unpleasant situations or uncomfortable situations, that I don't want to say hood rat comes out, but yeah, it kind of comes out. And so I wouldn't be surprised if, again, she's another preference wife who was chosen because she represents a standard of beauty that many high-value men, or many high-value black men in particular, they appreciate. And she strikes me as somebody who's very insecure. If you spend money to look like Jigsaw in the face, I'm going to assume that you have some insecurities. I'm a proponent for natural beauty. If you want to get a little nip and tuck here, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But Mia looks a hot mess because of these surgeries. And, the failure of the surgeries is exacerbated by her nasty attitude. So her nasty attitude makes her surgeries look more exaggerated. So it's like, how somebody has a particular facial feature that is pronounced, and then they do and say things that make that facial feature stick out even more. When Mia was smiling with her prolapsed lips as she was like antagonizing the cast for various reasons during the trip, it made her botched surgery look even more pronounced, because she's trying to smile. She's smiling through the chaos, right? Smiling and jeering as if everything's all good, and her eyes are dark. So now the Jigsaw energy is coming out even more, right? And again, I'm sure she was beautiful prior to the surgeries, which is why she was chosen by a high-value, dark-skinned black man, right? I'm sure of it, but so why would you mutilate your face unnecessarily and then have a nasty attitude behind it? Yes, she was bullying Wendy, and yes, she was thriving in the chaos and dysfunction because this is probably an environment she's used to being in. She seems like she's used to strife and contention and backstabbing, just like Evelyn Lozada, the same energy. It's just so weird. Now, I talked about the Bell Collective and how the women on the Bell Collective, they fight and they come together. But these women seem to be genuine friends. These women are just like bipolar weird friends, like hot and cold. We're cool one minute and I'm going to say the most degrading, disrespectful, and hurtful things about you. And then the next minute we hug it and we laughing it up. Like, it's just immature high school petty nonsense. Am I missing somebody? I think I'm missing the woman named Charisse, the woman with really, really big boobies. I don't know what she does. I didn't really see too much of her, but I did like the fact that she recognized that every time they got together, there was some drama. Nobody wants to be around people like that. Every time I sit down with you, there's a problem. That's annoying and stressful. Okay? So I'm glad that Charisse pointed that out. I don't know what her role is on the show. I didn't see too much of her, but yeah. That's all. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to order a personal tarot reading, you can go to my website and make a payment via CashApp or Stripe. Thank you again for commenting. I will speak to you soon.